After narcissistic abuse, people expect you to be heartbroken. They expect tears, panic, rage. But what if you feel nothing? No sadness, no anger, no love, no fear. Just this blank, frozen quiet, like your emotions got unplugged. And then you start asking the question that scares you the most. What if I'm broken? What if I'll never feel again? What if they damaged me permanently? Stop right there. Because emotional numbness is not your personality. It's not proof you didn't care. And it's not proof you're cold. It's a nervous system strategy. It's your brain choosing survival when it couldn't choose safety. And today I'm going to explain the neuroscience of why you feel nothing after narcissistic abuse, using modern trauma neurobiology and a Carl Jung lens that's going to make your entire experience finally make sense. Quick comment check. If you've ever said, "I feel dead inside," type numb in the comments. No details, just numb. You'll be shocked how many people are living the same silent symptom. Before we go deeper, I want to cut the self-blame off at the root. If you're numb, your body is not failing you. Your body is trying to protect you from emotional overload. That's not a character flaw. That's biology. And once you understand the mechanism, you can reverse it safely. Here, what makes narcissistic abuse different from a normal breakup. A normal breakup hurts because love ends. Narcissistic abuse hurts because reality gets attacked. Your mind is forced to hold contradictions for too long. They love me and they hurt me. They're sorry and they repeat it. It's my fault and I know it's not. They're charming and they're cruel. That constant cognitive and emotional whiplash burns fuel. And eventually the brain does something brilliant and terrifying. It shuts the feeling system down. Not forever. Not to punish you. To keep you alive. If you're watching this and thinking, yes, but why does it feel like I'm watching my life from behind glass? That's not you being dramatic. That's a classic description of dissociation and hypoarousal, your system leaving full emotional contact so you can function under threat. Hold that thought, we're going to map it. There's a concept called the window of tolerance. When you're inside it, you can feel emotions without drowning in them. But under trauma, people get pushed outside the window in two directions. Some go into hyperarousal, anxiety, panic, hypervigilance. Others go into hypoarousal, freeze, shutdown, numbness, emptiness. And trauma can swing you between both, source. Here's the key, emotional numbness usually lives on the hypoarousal side. It's the I can't feel state. And that state has a brain signature. Let's translate neuroscience without making it boring. In trauma research, emotion dysregulation involves a network that includes the amygdala, insula, hippocampus, anterior cingulate cortex, and prefrontal cortex. Source. Think of it like a system. The amygdala is the alarm. The insula is your internal feeling signal, your interoceptive awareness, what you sense in your body. The hippocampus tags context and memory. The ACC and prefrontal regions help evaluate, regulate, and choose responses. Source. Under prolonged threat, the system can become a mess of too much and not enough at the same time. Too much threat detection. Not enough regulation. Too much stress signaling. Not enough safety. And when that imbalance becomes chronic, the nervous system can choose the most extreme form of protection. Shut it down. Psychology Today summarizes PTSD neurobiology in a way that fits this. A hyperreactive amygdala and reduced ability of prefrontal regions to regulate threat responses. Source. Now here's the retention punch. Numbness is not no emotion. Numbness is your brain keeping emotion behind a firewall. I want you to answer this in the comments with one word. When you're numb, do you feel more like empty or more like foggy? Empty is often shut down. Foggy is often dissociation layered with exhaustion. Either way, you're not alone, and your answer helps other people self-identify. Now let's bring in the nervous system. Polyvagal theory describes three broad states: connection, fight, flight, and shutdown. Shutdown is often associated with numbness, dissociation, hopelessness, feeling trapped, low energy, spaced out, and reduced ability to think clearly. Source. This matters because a lot of survivors think, I'm numb because I'm over it. No, sometimes you're numb because your body is still bracing for impact. And the science of safety perspective emphasizes that feelings of safety emerge from autonomic state, not from positive thinking. Source. So if your body doesn't feel safe yet, your emotions may not come online yet. That's not failure. That's sequencing. Here's the part that confuses people. Why do you go numb after you escape? Why not during? Because during the relationship, your system may be in survival mobilization, hypervigilance, scanning, managing, performing. When you finally leave, your body realizes, it's over, I can stop. And that's when the freeze can drop in. Like a soldier who collapses after the battle, not during it. Let me say this bluntly. Numbness is a protective mechanism that deserves respect. It can prevent you from being flooded by grief, terror, rage, and shame all at once. In window of tolerance terms, when arousal is extreme, the prefrontal cortex can go offline and thinking becomes harder. Source. So your system may choose less feeling, so you can still go to work, still feed your kids, still function. The tragedy is you interpret the protection as damage. But protection isn't damage. Protection is a stage. Now let's bring in Carl Jung, because Jung gives language to what survivors feel but can't explain. Jung's core warning is that what stays unconscious can direct your life like fate until it becomes conscious. You can even flash the quote on screen. Source. Here's the Jungian take. Emotional numbness is psychological anesthesia. When the psyche encounters more pain than the ego can integrate, it splits off experience. It pushes it into the shadow, into the unconscious. Not because you're weak, because wholeness requires packing, and your system is trying not to shatter. So your numbness may be your psyche saying, I will let you feel this when you're safe enough to hold it. If you're thinking, but I truly feel nothing, maybe I never loved them. Here's the difference. Not caring feels light, clean, free. Numbness feels heavy, stuck, quiet, but not peaceful. If you relate to that, you're not heartless. You're protected. Many survivors say, I don't even enjoy music. I don't feel excited. I don't feel attracted. I don't feel connected to my friends. This is common in trauma states where the system is prioritizing threat management over reward. In neuroimaging PTSD literature, there are links between emotional numbing and altered responses to positive stimuli, suggesting not only more negative, but less positive. Source. So the goal isn't to force happiness. The goal is to restore safety in the body so the reward system can re-engage naturally. People will tell you just cry, let it out. But if you're in shutdown, crying can feel impossible. Because crying requires access to emotion plus a sense of safety. When the body is braced, it often refuses to open that gate. This is why survivors sometimes cry months later, randomly, in a grocery store on a quiet night, when the nervous system finally senses enough safety to release. That delayed release is not weird. It's accurate. If you want emotions back, you don't start by forcing emotion. You start by restoring regulation. Phase 1 is stabilization, sleep, hydration, food, basic routines, reducing contact with the abuser, reducing triggers. Phase 2 is gentle reconnection, sensation, grounding, safe social contact, safe movement, small doses. Phase 3 is integration, therapy, narrative, meaning-making, grief work. This matches the polyvagal idea that you climb out of shutdown through building safety and social engagement without flooding yourself. Source. And it matches the science of safety perspective. Safety is a physiological state that supports restoration, growth, and connection. Source. Try this tonight and tell me what happens. Play a song you used to love. Don't judge yourself if you feel nothing. Just notice one body signal: breath, tightness, warmth, tears, irritation, anything. Then comment music nothing or music something. Because this is how we measure return, not by big emotions but by small signals. A lot of people panic and start chasing feelings with intensity, doom scrolling, toxic dating, impulsive messages, stalking the narcissist's socials. That is not healing, that's activation. If your prefrontal regulation is already strained, adding more threat cues just keeps your system out of the window of tolerance. Source. Instead, aim for one word. Safety. Not motivational safety. Physiological safety. The kind your body can believe. If this is landing for you, I want you to do two things right now. Subscribe because the next videos will map hypervigilance, intrusive thoughts, and why you miss them even after abuse, all through neuroscience and Jung. And second, share this video with one person who thinks numbness means they're broken. Because numbness is one of the most misinterpreted trauma symptoms, and misinterpretation creates shame. And shame keeps people stuck in shutdown. Let's make Jung practical. Shadow work is not dig up everything at once. Shadow work is integrating what was split off at a pace your nervous system can tolerate. It's making the unconscious conscious so it stops steering your life in the background. Source. So if you're numb, shadow work can be as simple as, I notice I'm numb and I'm not going to shame myself for it. I notice I'm disconnected and I'm going to build safety first. That's not avoidance. That's wisdom. This one is sharp but important. Narcissistic dynamics often condition you to disconnect from your own emotional truth. Because a person who is emotionally connected becomes harder to gaslight. A person who trusts their body signals becomes harder to manipulate. So your numbness may be partly trauma, partly conditioning, and partly exhaustion. And healing means revering the training. You stop asking, what do they feel? And you start asking, what do I feel or not feel, and what does my body need? When numbness lifts, many people expect happiness. But often the first emotion is not joy. It's grief, or anger, or fear, or disgust, or a wave of sadness that feels disproportionate. That doesn't mean you're getting worse. That means the firewall is lowering. If you've been frozen, the thaw is messy. So don't confuse thawing with relapse. I want one final comment from you, and I want it to be specific. Finish this sentence in the comments. After the abuse, the weirdest part of numbness was it not missing them? Was it not missing anyone? Was it watching your life like a movie? Was it not feeling joy? Write it because someone reading will finally feel understood. Let's close with truth. The neuroscience says trauma reshapes circuits of threat detection and regulation. Source. The threat processing literature emphasizes how deeply the PFC, amygdala system, and extinction regulation systems matter in recovery. Source. The Science of Safety view reminds us, safety is an internal physiological platform for restoration and connection. Source. And Jung reminds us, what's unconscious runs us until we bring it to awareness. Source. So if you feel nothing right now, you are not broken. You are not empty. You are not incapable of love. You are a nervous system that hit overload and chose shutdown. And with safety, regulation, and time, your feelings return. Not all at once, but steadily, quietly, like life coming back into a frozen limb. If this helped, subscribe. That's the real work. And you don't have to do it alone.